Welcome back everyone. In this video, I will be making a dirndl because I already had the pattern that came with this book and I thought it would be a shame to not give it a try. In 3 days, we will also be leaving for the Tatras in Slovakia for my birthday and I thought that would be the perfect location to shoot the reveal in, so let's get started. After extracting the right-sized patterns from their paper prisons, I proceeded by cutting them out from this pretty foxy cotton. Then I transferred all the markings with this rolling device. I had to cut all the bodice pieces twice more from the lining fabric and a self-adhesive stabilizer fabric. From the leftover, I cut about 1 billion little bias tapes for the piping. Then I ironed the stabilizer on my fashion fabric. To make the piping, I used the cotton cord and my cording foot. The assembly starts by pinning the piping to the Viennese seam on the side back seam. Then I attach the side back pieces to the back piece and assemble the front pieces together as well. Next, I sew together the front and the back pieces at the shoulder seams. At this point, it is advisable to also baste the side seams together temporarily, so you can try on your bodice and check the fit. And how lucky I did that, because there were quite a couple of issues. The Viennese seam at the armhole gaped away quite unflatteringly, and the shoulder seams were way too loose as well. And while the latter was easily solvable, the gaping was a bit harder to manage, but luckily this book has a chapter on how to solve any fitting issues you might come across with. All I had to do was to unpick the seams from the arm's eye side and move the back piece a little bit more down, making the Viennese seam a little more curvier on the top. And that solved it. Now that I have identified these issues, I also fixed it on the lining that I have previously assembled in the same manner as I did with the outer layer. Before attaching the lining to the fashion fabric, I had to pin and sew the piping to the arm's eyes. Then I sew them together, right sides facing, along the neckline and the arm's eyes. Flip them inside out through the narrow gaps of the shoulder strap. I was a bit worried about this process and it was definitely a workout to do so. But it worked! So, onwards we go. I ironed it down a bit and serged the front opening and the side seams individually. It's done this way for the ease of adjustments later on. Dirndls are characterized by their form-fitting silhouettes, which can be achieved from store-bought or an inherited garment because of this construction method. It's also a great way to give yourself some leeway if you have a fluctuating weight. I finally sewed the side seams together and tried it on, and marked where the middle seam should fall. I folded the front seams back twice to have a nice sturdy base for the buttons later on, then tacked it down to the lining by hand. To create the pleated skirt portion, first I measured the circumference of the finished bodice and calculated the number and the width of the pleats I should mark. I cut my fabric into two rectangles of 75 centimeters and seamed them together on their shorter edge. This way I made myself a long piece of fabric that had the width of how long I wanted my skirt to be and the length twice the width of the original fabric, which meant I didn't have to waste time hemming it, which is great because I somehow hate hemming things. That's why I always leave it to be the last step. Once the pleats were held in place by machine stitching, I lined the middle of the skirt and the bodice, and right sides facing I pinned and sewed them together. As the last step, I marked the placement of the buttons and sewed them on. For the opening on the skirt, I used a snap and sewed the rest of it shut. I managed to make this dress in the 3 days that I had gave myself, and except for the initial fitting issues with the bodice, without any drama for this ones. The next day, we left for the Low Tatras of Slovakia. It was the first time for me in this area in the summer, and I loved it. It's such a beautiful place. It's an easy contender to the hills of Austria for the third of the price. Honestly, if you live nearby, you should visit. I'm in love with their magnificent hills and their beautiful landscapes, and I will definitely be going back there someday. I was actually gonna go back right now to ski there, but they just gone into lockdown, so we went to Slovenia instead. Which is incidentally where the reveal of my next video was shot. So keep an eye out for that. But until then, enjoy the most beautiful video I have ever had the privilege to shoot.